Welcome to the Redlands Coast Business Show, a naturally wonderful place to live and a great place to do business. Featuring local business successes and visionaries, bringing tips, tricks and inspiration to you. The podcast that embraces your local business community. And here's your host, Tony Curl.
Hey there, and welcome to the second episode of the Redlands Coast Business Show. Our launch episode, well received. Thank you all for those people that provided some feedback, for those that listened in, to those that subscribed, and especially those that shared it on their social media. It is certainly appreciated, and we thank you. This episode is another great conversation, this time with Rebecca Young. Rebecca is the co-owner of Personalised Freight Solutions, which is an international freight forwarding company providing global import and export services. Her business is based in the Redlands, and she is passionate about helping local businesses understand the processes and the costs relating to international freight movement. Rebecca is very active in promoting and supporting women in business and is also on the National Board for Women's International Shipping and Trade Association. Beck is also the current president of the Redlands Coast Chamber of Commerce. And we get to hear from Beck on some of the amazing initiatives coming out of the Chamber for the benefit of the whole business community. I met with Beck at Capalaba Central, and I'm sure that once you hear this conversation, I'm sure that you'll agree, that you will attest, she shares some amazing gems. And after this short word from our sponsor, I bring you Rebecca Young.
The Redlands Coast Business Show is proudly sponsored by Think and Grow Business, unlocking the potential and performance of people and businesses. Individual and group coaching and masterminds that help you grow your business. Book your free discovery call today at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au.
Welcome to the Redlands Coast Business Show, Rebecca Young.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, Rebecca, you're quite well known in the Redlands Coast business community at the moment. I just saw you cringe. So,
I do cringe at that.
So whether that's something that sits well with you, I'm not quite sure. But I actually want to talk about your business first up. So tell me a little bit about Personalised Freight Solutions.
So Personalised Freight Solutions was established in 2014 here in the Redlands. I'm a Redlands-based girl through and through.
Yeah.
Born in Brisbane, but lived in Victoria Point my entire life.
Okay.
So incredibly passionate, and therefore to set up business here was a no-brainer for me.
So 2014 was the start of the business,
yes.
And you've lived in Redlands Coast for how long?
37 years.
Wow, so you would be a local.
I'm definitely
I'm not quite
a
sure of
local.
the eligibility things. I was actually born in Guyra in New South Wales, and I've only lived in the Redlands Coast since 94, so
there you go.
I'm not quite sure if I've accomplished or ticked the box for that eligibility. So, but anyway, and there's an interesting story with the start of your business, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And we often have a little giggle between ourselves, Christine and my business partner, Christine. We're 50-50 in the business, always have been, and that's how we wanted it from the get-go. Our husbands played hockey, roller hockey, 30-year-old men playing roller hockey together. They still do it every Tuesday night. And I decided that the wives didn't do enough together. So I arranged a girls' night out, a rooftop hotel, not in the Redlands, but in Brisbane City. And Christine and I got talking about what I did as a profession, and that really resonated with her.
Yeah.
She was in a section of our industry where the shipping containers get dehired back to one place, and that's where Christine worked.
Okay.
She really said how interesting she thought it was. She called me the next week and said, you really struck something in me that I want to fulfill. Do you have any positions available?
Wow. So it wasn't just the wine talking, it was the fact that she followed up a week later. Okay.
Yes. So I ended up employing Christine in the business that I was managing at the time.
Yep.
And we worked there for I would say 2-3 years together, and the relationship between myself and the business owner had soured.
Okay.
And that was only because I was a 30-year-old woman, passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
60-year-old man, and he was a customs broker, and nothing wrong with customs brokers, but they have a different type of mind for the work they do. And it just got really toxic, so I decided to move on.
Yeah.
Christine became unhappy because I wasn't there, and we had a good working relationship. So I bought across to the new company, and it turned out we were working with an absolute criminal. And so I felt really awful to say, come and work with me at this business, and then all of a sudden it turns out he owed hundreds of thousands to the tax department.
Wow.
It was awful. So one day I got a text message from the owner of this business, very inappropriate. I have a fiery temper, so I went to the office. Christine had started for the day, and I said, that's it, it's done, we're over. Pay out as many people as you can, pay our super, we're out of here, we're going to start our own business. Yeah. And we drove to an accountant's office at Victoria Point. Yeah. And we started our own business that day.
Wow.
October 22nd, 2014.
So what is it about personal freight or freight forwarding that excites you? Why is that your purpose or...
Yeah, it's funny. It's a really addictive industry.
Okay.
And when I first come out of school and my parents went, well, if you're not going to university, you've got to get a job.
Yeah.
I literally fell into this job. Back then, my job was to run documents around town.
Yeah.
So it was to pick up documents from a shipping line and take it to a transport company, pick up documents and take it into customs. We don't do that anymore because everything's done by email now. Yeah. But it's incredibly fulfilling. And I couldn't even put my finger on why that is. But
okay.
For me, certainly, and what Personalised Freight Solutions represent is what it suggests, personalised.
Okay.
I think just society lends us to the fact that we can hide behind a screen and treat people as a number.
Yeah.
And I see that in freight forwarding. It's a numbers game, in and out, shipment in, shipment out, shipment in, shipment out, and that's how you make money. I believe if we start treating people like people, that actually the same amount of money you can make in numbers, you will make in people. Yeah. So stepping out from behind the computer, each one of our customer has an account manager.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you do one shipment a year or 100 shipments a year, your main contact is this person. That was really important for us. It wasn't about the money in the beginning because, let's face it, we had none. We didn't even have a wage at that stage. We had nothing. And by treating people like people, in the beginning we had 5 clients who followed us, who said, no, you're our people. That has grown in excess of 200.
Yeah, that's a great story. Absolutely great story. And there's something there for every business, because if we do treat your clients as a person and not just a number, too many of us get caught up in a systemised, you've got to systemise, you've got to put a process in. But at the end of the day, business to business is still person to person. So,
absolutely.
So it's a really good learning there, and I hope that everyone that's listening is thinking about their business potentially and how they can maybe enhance the experience from their clients.
Definitely.
Now, in every business journey, we have our ups and downs. So has there been ever any time with Personalised Freight Solutions that you felt that you were failing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? That didn't come until year 4 in our business.
Truly.
Post year 3 of our business, we're like, how good are we? We're amazing. And it was a shock to the system when I lost our first big customer. Okay. And I lost them. It wasn't my team. It wasn't Christine. It was me. Yeah. And it purely come from a place of ego where, rather than let a customer vent on a situation, I asked him not to speak to me in a certain way. And that soured the relationship immediately. Yeah. Because in that moment, he needed to vent. Yeah. And I took the ethos that we started this business on and did the complete opposite.
Okay.
So he did one more big project with us and decided to move on. It wasn't a good fit for him anymore. And he'd been with us up until that point 4 years.
Yeah, and it's always so disappointing when we lose a big client or when we lose a major client.
Yeah.
And when it comes back on potentially something that we had done or said, it's really challenging. How did you deal with that then? So you're feeling a failure, you're feeling like you've made this big drop or decrease in your business.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that from your own mindset perspective?
Not well. And especially because we were going through a transition. It sort of like was the perfect storm at that point because I let something happen. Like I personally did that affected the business adversely. We had put on 2 more staff because at that point we needed them.
Yeah.
One of those team members was business development and sales. So rather than owning what I had done and picking up and going, you know what, I've got to do better. I personally have to do better.
Yeah.
I am the key face to sales in this business as it sits. I deflected and said, well, our salesperson needs to be doing more.
Yeah, lift your game.
And they, like, how demotivating is that? You say to a salesperson, could you go sell more, please? Because I've dropped the ball to the left.
So I just stuffed up, but ultimately I now
you need to do more. So our business really, and if you can sit back in year 5 and go, gee, we had a tough 6 months, it's okay.
Yeah.
But that 6 months between January 2018 and June 2018 was the toughest time in business we'd had because we were scaling up, we'd lost a major customer, we were trying to develop a section of our business that we'd never done before.
Okay.
I've never even cold call.
Okay.
Christine has. 5 times.
Yeah.
3 of those people are still our customers.
Okay.
So
cool.
It works.
Yeah.
We just never wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So we were diversifying a lot, losing some income, not losing money, but losing income. Thought we were bee's knees in business at year 3 and went, geez.
Wow.
We have a lot to learn.
When did that awareness come from yourself in respect to that mistake? So initially it would have been very confronting to yourself. You're probably deep down knowing that you stuffed up.
Yeah.
But then looking for how do I get out of this and when did that awareness come because you've just spoken about that quite openly to the community of Redlands Coast. So when did that awareness come? How long did that take?
It took a major explosion between myself and my business partner.
Yeah, okay.
And a person that I cared deeply about. She's as close as a sister to me.
Wow.
And we've always
Hi,
been
Christine,
family.
by the way.
And I share this because it's not that I haven't shared it before and I'd rather talk about it so people can learn about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just reflected off mic that being in business with friends is challenging.
Yeah.
So we had to get back to a place of it doesn't matter what is happening. We are first and foremost family, not by blood.
Yeah.
Family, and then we go from there. If we can get back to that every time, we're fine. But it took me, like, we had a big explosion. I deflected a lot. We had to bring in our accountant who acted as a mediator.
Truly.
It was a lot, but we've come out the other side much stronger and with a much better business model. And
when you can go into mediation with a really open mind from all parties, you're more likely to get a result. So thanks for sharing. It's interesting because when we do make blues or when we do even have wins, in our businesses, sometimes if we make a mistake, it sticks with us for so long. Yeah. Or if we have a win, we celebrate for too long. And one of the things I shared with the Better Business Workshop crew last night was, John Maxwell talks about the 24-hour rule. So whenever he has a loss or something that's gone wrong, it's okay to acknowledge how he feels. So he'll be down in the dumps, but he gives himself 24 hours. At the end of that 24 hours, it's back to it. But he also does that when he wins. So it's really interesting, the 24-hour rule. So that's a really good way that you can acknowledge how we're feeling because, we've stuffed up. That's a big loss to my business. But then, 24 hours, I am going to acknowledge how I feel. and then what do I do to get out of that? So
That's
it was
key.
really cool. So was that the most challenging thing that you've had to face in your business so far?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it got to a stage where the first question our accountant asked us during that time was, is this the end for you guys?
Wow.
Has it got to a point where this is affecting you so adversely that you don't want to do this anymore?
Yeah.
And so that took a lot of reflection, and Christine and her husband were like, yeah, no, we want this. And I sat back and went, I don't want this. But I think that came from a place of embarrassment that I had played a part, because it's easy to go and point fingers. You did this, you did. When it's from yourself, it's like, no, I'm embarrassed that I've let us get to this point. I've been a huge part of where we're at, and I'm trying to blame everyone else for it. So I like the 24-hour rule. I'm definitely going to bring that one in.
It's pretty cool, And it's just, and once again, just that awareness to be able to sit back now, be vulnerable about that, and hopefully our listeners will be taking that on board as to when challenging things happen with them, that ability to look within ourselves and to be honest with ourselves, And when I say honest, we're not going to bash ourselves up over it, but it's about being honest and saying, okay, I've stuffed up. How do I now move forward in the most productive manner, and one that still enhances relationships? And relationships are so important. So
this is true. And ask for help. I think that's a real key. Like, I reached out to our accountant, who we're lucky to just have him in our world, but I also reached out to a pretty organic mentor at that point as well to go where, and both males. I want to say that, the highlight that I don't have people just around me to fluff me up, and they gave me some hard truths, and I appreciate that. At the time it made me cry, but at now I'm stronger for it.
It's good that you've got that inner circle, because everyone in business needs that inner circle. If you've just got people telling you what you want to hear, you've got the wrong people talking to you.
Absolutely.
So, why is it important? Why is it important for local business here in the Redlands Coast? Why is it such a focus for you? So I know you've got clients all around the world, but you're based here in Victoria Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Victoria Point, isn't it? The business park?
Redland Bay.
Yeah, Redland Bay Business
Same
Park.
postcode, different name.
Yeah, so but it's important for you to be based here. But why is it important for the local business community? Why is that something of focus for you? In
terms of Personalised Freight Solutions, we actually have a lot of local businesses that we deal with, and one of our biggest customers, we actually came on board with us through the Business and Retail Awards.
Okay.
Back in 2015.
Because you are an award winner.
Well, now that I've thrown that in there's a few trophies at our office. But, again, it's about those personal relationships.
Yeah.
So when they saw us on stage, they liked what we said. We maybe had a drink with them on the floor. The next week they rang and said, hey, you're local, we're local. Let's talk. We feel like we want to deal with somebody that can come and sit in front of us every now and then.
Wow. Yeah.
That there's that trust there. Yeah. So look, to be honest, freight forwarders are a dime a dozen. We all do the same thing.
Yeah.
We move stuff from one place to another, and it's generally done the same way. 90% of all freight forwarders all use the same software even.
Okay.
That's true. So what makes us different from anyone else? And the local factor, keeping it here in the Redlands, where I can go down and sit at Capella Bar and understand what they need from a freight forwarder. There's power in that.
Absolutely.
In terms of our local economy, we're doing some amazing global shipments.
Yeah.
That whilst the money doesn't come in here for those shipments, they come to my business. I employ local. All of our team live in the Redlands.
Excellent. Speaking of local, we are down here at Capella Bar Central, so people are probably looking at us thinking, what's going on?
They might be, but what an amazing area.
Yeah, it's like a little community hub down here. We thought we chose the quiet end, but anyway. And it's important with local business. One of the things I picked up on is that ability to sit face-to-face with someone.
Yeah.
And that's important, whether it's a website designer, whether it's a marketing company, whether it's a business coach, whether it's a customer service consultant or whatever services that you're contracting. The ability to be able to sit opposite someone and share that experience and get them to connect is so vital. I mean, so many people start a business, they contract to some guy overseas who fundamentally might even do a great job, but then you never hear from them again.
Absolutely.
And so just that ability to be able to go face-to-face is really important.
Definitely.
So why is the Redlands Coast the best place to do business? Because I'm going to change tact a little bit here, but I just want to ask that first. Why is the best place the Redlands Coast to do business?
The best place to do business in terms of what we do, it's the lifestyle. Yeah. You can, this whole notion that you can balance lifestyle in this day and age with what you do professionally. Yeah. A lot of people feel like it's a hard task to do. Yeah. When I can get in my car and drive 5 minutes to my office, the office that we built here for a fraction of the cost that you would pay in Sydney and Melbourne. Yeah. And I can have all of my team around me who have also driven 5 minutes, not in heavy traffic, not stressed when they get to the office. Yeah. There's power in that as well.
Absolutely.
Where my staff can jump out and go to a school assembly and come back. That notion that we can have balance is almost a reality. Yeah. Even though some days I'm like, if they say that you can have it all, you can't. It's all too hard. Yeah. When you live local, you work local, you have business local, our overheads are low. It means we can be more competitively priced in the market because we don't have these massive overheads that maybe some of our competitors at Eagle Farm or the port do. Yeah. That's an advantage as well.
I can imagine. Now, Rebecca Young from Personalised Freight Solutions, I'm going to ask this as Rebecca.
Okay.
And not as any other official capacity, which I'll talk about in just a sec.
Sure.
But if you had that magic wand and you were able to wave that magic wand to create a wish list for to support the growth of business out here in the Redlands.
Sure.
For Rebecca Young from Personalised Freight Solutions, what would that magic wand look like?
Magic wand would absolutely be getting businesses out of homes and into commercial space.
Okay.
And I know that might not seem like a big problem, like who wouldn't want to work from home? Yeah. Christine and I worked from my house for the first 3 years of our business. Yeah. So, we had very little overheads, which, has its advantages in itself within your business. But mentally, when I walk out of my bedroom, down my hallway, into my home office every day, and sometimes don't even get changed out of my pajamas, which I'm not proud to admit, but there were days where the girls are looking at me going, can we maybe put some clothes on today rather than pajamas? For everybody, it is much healthier. Yeah. The first day that I got up, got in my car, went to our new beautiful office at Lakeside, there's a feeling around that.
Absolutely.
The trouble is my business could support $4,000 a month in rent. Yeah. There's many businesses in our community who are important to our economy that cannot afford that. Yeah. It's either I'll go spend $4,000 to rent an office, or I'll spend $4,000 reinvesting back into my business, or I'll spend $4,000 employing somebody in our community. Yeah. How powerful would it be if that wasn't $4,000? It's $1,200. Yeah. Yeah. Or $1,500 even.
And the community feeling that you get. I know that you're at the business park. There's a sense of community amongst the businesses that 100%. Are out there.
Yeah, there is.
And, there is always this common language or common thought process around a community business hub out here in the Redlands. Yeah. A lot of people want to see something like that, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of will in creating that. So whether it's a commercial will or whether it's, with support from the people who govern us, I guess it's a challenge, and it's one that, I think a lot of people would love that magic wand.
Absolutely.
Now, before I go on to something else, I'm going to ask you the Fast Five. These are really simple answers to sometimes a more complicated question.
I'll try and keep it simple.
So in your experience, Rebecca, what are the common reasons why you see businesses fail?
Not enough ground level support, budgets, basic business skills.
What's the best marketing tip that you can give to any business?
Get online.
What's the best advice you would provide for someone wanting to start a business?
When you start a business, you don't have money, but you have plenty of time. Use your time wisely. Learn more skills.
Interesting. I'm going to hold up the Fast Five. On my other podcast, the Coach Curl podcast, I spoke to a gentleman who's an aspiring singer-guitarist, a gentleman called Matt Bailey. And Matt's a friend from a number of years back. And he spoke about exactly the same thing.
Really?
And the terminology he used was you can be time rich. So we're so focused on being time poor because for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But then he said he'd just gone through a period of 3 months where he was time rich. And it wasn't until he'd heard someone mention that terminology that he actually realised how he could benefit from it. So
absolutely.
How do you get yourself out of a business funk?
Oh, God. I don't have a quick answer to that. I talk to people. I talk to my community. I get out of the office actually at that point.
Okay.
And I get in front of people because you soon realise your problems aren't that bad when you start talking to other people and investing time in other people's issues. And you go, you know what? I'm going back to my office because it's not that bad back there.
And another interesting thing, sometimes when we like to sit in a problem, and what I call sit in the problem.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there and we're trying to think through it, and sometimes the best thing to do is just to get away from it.
Yeah.
And then the answer comes.
Yeah.
What's a common myth, final question, what's a common myth that you see with people who want to start a business?
I don't have time or money.
Yeah.
And generally they don't need money, they just need to invest time.
Yeah.
Put your bottom on a seat and make it happen.
Yeah, awesome. Excellent. Well, thanks, Beck. I'm now going to, as you can see, I've got two hats on this table, and so we're taking off the Personalised Freight Solutions hat, and now we're going to talk with you about, in an official capacity as the president of the Redlands Coast Chamber of Commerce.
Sure.
How do you feel about being the president of the Redlands Coast Chamber of Commerce?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so rewarding, and I'm not even being cliche right now. It's overwhelming, and we've had a very overwhelming week, and it's been challenging, and I think personally it's challenging me as a person and developing.
So you're feeling the stretch?
I am.
Okay.
But I'm not not in a bad way.
Well, you're sitting here with me with a wonderful smile on your face, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And whenever we stretch, we grow. We know that.
That's right.
So tell me about then, so we've had a really good, like I've been on the committee, I think 5 years, believe it or not. And Gary Hargraves, Lynn Sturgis, and now yourself. So I feel that we've had the right leader at the right time for the Chamber, as I do with yourself now.
Thank you.
So we've got a huge vision happening for 2020.
Yes.
So what are you most excited about? Or tell me about some of the things that are going to happen with the Redlands Coast Chamber of Commerce.
Like you said, we've got a big 2020 in terms of the initiatives, new initiatives, and really building on the work that Gary and Lynn started and the direction they were moving the chamber in, and now picking up on it and giving it more depth.
Yeah.
Knowing that we've got an amazing membership base, amazing following, our numbers at our business breakfasts are forever growing.
Yeah.
To bring 80 to 130 people into one room every month.
Yeah, I know when I joined the chamber, if we were getting 40 to 50, I thought, and I've been involved in a couple of chambers, and there was a stage there where I'd go to a Redlands City at the time, Chamber of Commerce, there'd be 50, 60 people maybe. I'd go to another one in the southwest of Brisbane, and they'd have 12.
Yes.
So I used to sit back and think, how cool is this? But now when we plan a breakfast, we're planning for a minimum of 80.
80, exactly. And again, that comes challenge.
Yeah.
Because people do like to attend something that is only 12 or 15 people.
Yeah.
And for the chamber, it's about acknowledging those people in our community and matching them up with a group, because there's plenty of groups out in our community for business that are 12 to 15 people. And there is a place for that. We have this massive following, which means that we can adapt and do something with those numbers. And become, for me, it's important that the Chamber becomes a voice for business.
Become the advocate for all size business. And there is a bit of a perception around the Chamber. And, you know, when you look at our membership base, small and medium-sized enterprises, there's something exciting happening with larger enterprises this year.
There is. So we're taking on an initiative around championing Redlands Coast. And I'm going to practice championing before our first event. But basically, we've taken on this theme to attract investment into the Redlands, to roll out the welcome mat. Our economic development framework has targets for population growth, for job growth.
So that's the economic framework from the Redlands City Council?
Yes. Yeah. We adopted that in 2018 as a bit of a guideline. That doesn't mean we're in bed with council. At the end of the day, the Chamber has no political alliances. On a political front, we have to work with all levels of government, because business has to work with all levels of government. So me as a business owner, I have to pay my GST to the state. You know, me as a business owner in international freight means that I'm dealing with federal departments every day of the week. So in business, we have to. It doesn't mean we can't challenge policies. But it also means we're not aligned anywhere. Our mission and our purpose is for business.
Absolutely. So with the reaching out or the connection with the larger business base, what does that look like from a Chamber perspective?
From a Chamber perspective, it's important for us to engage with big business, because how can we get economic prosperity without big business? But that doesn't mean we're not interested in small business. We need to be catering for all business. All business. And that means that there's benefits to small business in terms of mentorship, investment from big business into small business. You know, we're working with education, the schools, to make sure that our businesses are well skilled. Big business are big employers. You know, that's just fact. So we want to make sure our kids are getting out of schools and into jobs. That's an important link, and that can only come from being engaged with big business as well.
And I think one of the beauties around the Chamber is that we've got some real passionate people that head up strategy teams around some of this. So even with the reach out to the bigger business areas, that was instigated from an approach from someone who wants to head that up.
That's right, because that person that came to the Chamber had...
We'll call him John.
We'll call him John for now. John said, I've been approached by some big business people who want to do this particular initiative around a boardroom series, and getting key stakeholders within the Redlands together at one table once a quarter, 3 times a year, however that looks, to talk about things that can be done.
Powerful.
Absolutely. And he said, that's fantastic, and I agree that should happen. However, we have a Chamber of Commerce, and that would sit perfectly with the Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely.
So the Chamber of Commerce doesn't have all the answers. And the subcommittee... Far from it. We're about having open ears, listening to the problems, and also working with people to get solutions. Because if one of our roles is to go to council or to go to state government or federal government with problems all the time, they're going to stop listening. We need to go to them and say, one of our businesses, small, medium, large, has this problem. We have worked with them, and we believe the solution could be this, or this, or this. And that's going to create that conversation then. They're not just going to feel like everyone's whinging at them all the time.
And I think that's important. We want to be a promoter that Redlands is good for business. The Redlands Coast is good for business. but we're certainly not going to agree with policies all the time. And for
No.
us to have that strength of character, which I think we do have as a chamber,
Yes.
to be able to say, well, this isn't quite right, and can we improve it? You know, I think is really important.
Yeah.
So to
For
become
this
that
reason, not because Tony Curl believes, in his opinion, it's not right. It's because XYZ from ABC came to us and said, do you guys realise that this policy creates this challenge for my industry?
Yeah.
And being that voice,
And
not
we look-
because
yeah.
Rebecca Young believes that's the case.
And I think within the committee at the moment, we've got a lot more research happening. There's a lot more diving into some of the reports that are coming through from various bodies from all over the place. So I think that's really key and critical. But we haven't talked about the Regional Jobs Committee, which is something that the Chamber has been charged with, heading up, or maybe not heading up's the right word, but overseeing the formation of a Regional Jobs Committee. So tell me a little bit about that.
Again, that plays into us being a voice.
Yeah.
So you're right. We're not necessarily heading it up.
Yeah.
We're bringing key stakeholders together to one table, trying to get as much representation across our industries, emerging and established industries that have big employment numbers, but not a big enough presence with actual Redlands-based work. Skills around education, bringing what we want to be 12 key stakeholders to the table and facilitating quarterly meetings, doing some research pieces around the Regional Jobs Committee as well. And that is also that we can give feedback to the government to make sure that Redlands are getting the help they need if help is needed. Typically, Redlands businesses aren't forthcoming with applying for grants, understanding how you get grants and what they mean, and quite often it's not about cash injections. It's about coming back to that rental situation where if we're paying $4,000 in rent, that's fine, but how are we employing people? Okay, so skilling kids out of school and things like that. So the Chamber is in the key position to be a communicator in that front. And whatever outcomes, whatever that committee flushes out, we can give that back to the government.
And the outcome, I guess, is all about working with some research, some key stakeholders. I know some of the people that have been targeted that have put their hands up and said yes, and I think it's going to be a pretty strong committee.
I think so
it's
too.
really exciting because, for too long our kids have been calling it the Deadlands, or that they understand that if they're going to get employment, there's a really strong likelihood they're going to be jumping in a car and travelling down Old Cleveland Road on their way to their job as opposed to being employed locally. So any sort of initiative that can help some of that, I think is going to be really, really strong.
Yeah, and showing people, just like I did when I set up business here, I was like, well, it has to be in the Redlands. But I think a lot of our kids come out of school with amazing ideas. They've got a business, and then they move into Little Tokyo, into Brisbane. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. But
I think the precinct at the Valley is the one that they all want to get
that's
into.
right,
and
because
River City
it's
Labs
attractive
is still...
to them. There's excitement
There's a vibe.
there. There's a vibe, and all these things that kids want that keeps them well inspired. That's what we need out here.
One of the strategies, and I'm incredibly excited about just about everything the Chamber's putting together for 2020. I think it's going to be an amazing year, and it's one of those things where we're just biting off as much as we can chew and then just chewing like hell. But one of the strategies, and I head it up as part of the strategy team. I've got an amazing strategy team with this one. It's called Nurture. And Nurture is really about everyone from the school business student who's got an idea right through to the person that's now been made redundant, has a skill set and maybe looking for another idea. It's about nurturing people, ideas, business. It's about enhancing capability, the skill capability of businesses here. And it's about connecting people with potential people that can help. And that's right. I've just been really blown away by the way the Chamber has embraced that concept.
Yeah, well, it speaks to what the Chamber should be about. There's no one person on the committee that could be aligned with the ethos of nurture and want to take something for themselves.
Yeah.
Because nurture is about making sure that others succeed.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what the chamber should be doing as a committee.
And creating like those conduits, and we talk about conduits and gaps in our ecosystem, and I know that there's a little bit of frustration within, say, the innovation ecosystem, for example.
Yeah.
But nurture plays a role in that, because hopefully we're going to be pointing the people into the right places. So, we've got Redlands Angels on Monday night, and thanks for the invite, Gary.
Absolutely,
I'm
excited about that one.
And then we've got Redlands Startup, and John Burkett heads that up, and he's creating something pretty cool down at the bench on the third Wednesday of every month. So, there's so many people that are doing things, but then I suppose nurture, we're hoping, is the conduit that can point people in the right way.
Brings it all together.
Yeah,
absolutely. And again, big business will play into that.
Yeah.
Because how can you nurture a startup ecosystem without investment?
Yeah, or without influences.
Mentoring. Exactly. It all plays into
We've got some pretty amazing businesses here in the Redlands Coast, and we've
Agreed.
got some pretty successful business people on the Redlands Coast, and to be able to have someone starting a business, to be able to tap into some of that is just going to be an amazing thing. So
100%. When Christine and I started, we thought that because we were a little broken after our initial experiences and coming into starting a business, we thought a safe space for us was in that sort of women in business space, or mums in business for me at the time. And the chamber does provide a women in business who...
Very successful women's in business.
100%, because sometimes women, like what we were in the beginning, need a soft entry to the chamber. And I'm not saying women are soft, please don't take that out of context, but women relate to women. Exactly. There's all that going on. And for us, that's where we found initially where we sat. And we grew from that. Yeah. It will be the same with nurture. People will start up Redlands, or wherever it may be in our nurture initiative, and we'll grow and hopefully take on that organic mentorship from whoever we can introduce them to.
Absolutely.
I think that's important.
And once again, all fitting in within the prosperity of local business.
Absolutely.
And, I know that there would be some people out there, Beck, that are saying, why are you doing this? Why are you banging your head against the brick wall? Why are you doing this, Beck?
I have 4 children, Tony, and I would actually like those children to come out of our local schools into employment or into tertiary education, or whatever that looks like. Yeah. I schooled here. I have a successful business here, and I want that to continue.
Okay.
I actually am really, really passionate about our coast.
Yeah.
And I get excited for it. If that inspires my kids or anyone's kids or anybody... then that community spirit, that community feel. I have my team that won't even come down to the local shops with me anymore, because I get stuck there forever talking to people because I love it. I love it. And I want that for my kids. I do. And that might be a cliche answer, but, that it is what it is. Family's everything.
Community, connection, collaboration. It's all available for us in the Redlands Coast Business Community.
Definitely.
And I guess from a chamber's perspective, we can help point people the right way.
We can. We can support them, and it doesn't matter whether you're going through a personal challenge, a business win. Yeah. There's power in having a voice and channeling that through the chamber. Absolutely.
So The Chamber's really successful with their business breakfast, their Redlands Women in Businesses, which is like a series of informal and lunchtime more formal events.
Yes.
The Redlands Business and Retail Awards, huge.
Premier event.
800 people pack into Sheldon, and we go through the winners. And, everyone's a winner. Who goes?
Absolutely.
Ultimately.
And there's been years. We've entered 4 years. We've won twice and lost twice. I learn as much when we have lost than when we have won. Yeah. And the process to actually go through the application to apply for those awards, everybody should run it.
Yeah.
Because there's an awareness there of where you currently sit.
Yeah.
There's been years that I've gone, 2018, not a good year. And I went, I don't know what I'm writing in this submission. And I've said to Christine, I don't think we'll apply this year.
Yeah.
And literally the whole team's like, no, why not? Because I don't feel like we...
Yeah.
But I sat down, I wrote the submission, and we got as much out of it that year as any other year.
And sometimes it's just that ability to sit. It gives you that. A lot of businesses don't sit back and review and reflect.
They don't.
And by doing an application for the awards, it actually gives you that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I've got no doubt there's been people that have taken that opportunity, reviewed, reflected, and thought, no, not this year.
Yes.
But maybe they've then changed their plans for their business and become more active and then come back next year.
Definitely.
I'm
and
sure
the judging process, the one-on-one judging process.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had John
Hebra
2 years.
Yeah.
Just having an interview with John, and John, that process alone is very confronting.
Yeah.
And if you can sit there and answer his questions and come out the other side as a winner, well, yay. But if you come out the other side and have questions on your business, then I feel like, and again, it's cliche, but you're a winner, because if that improves your business, that's what
that's what it's all about. And the judging is all independent from people unfortunately, people outside the Redlands.
but we've got to keep it that way.
That's the way that we do keep it independent.
Yes.
And for people in the retail awards, they get a mystery shop done. And so there's all these things that keep everything, that give you some really things that you can grab onto to improve your business.
Tangible. It's not just about the party. It's not about the trophies as much and getting dressed up.
Yeah.
As much as all of that is really cool to do, especially in November, it is about the process, and people need to remember that it's about the continual improvement of their business and making sure that we succeed in the Redlands.
Excellent. And I've got no doubt that as we move through the Jobs Committee and as we move through the nurture process, that there's going to be even more potential for businesses to improve through that process. So whether it's through increasing local employment, through the Redlands Bar Awards, or whether it's through increasing your own skill capability, I've got no doubt that those things will just be a bit of a natural flow for the Chamber and the community.
And I said in one of my recent President's Report, actually, Tony, that I want people to use the Chamber as a business tool.
Yeah.
Because the first thing we did when we had a little bit of money in our business is join the Chamber. And it's really not that expensive to join. But it has been a business tool to us, whether it's finding out about grants, whether it's skilling through TAFE, whether it's joining the awards and doing that process.
Understanding what grants are available through, what's the department? Small business and whatever? DESBIT?
DESBIT, Department of Education, Business and Training. I don't know.
So all that information's available through the Chamber.
That's right. And that's what, with the new website, with the jobs board, using the Chamber as a tool. Go to breakfast and network, because networking's an important business tool.
Absolutely.
And
you have to be known. You have to get known.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Again, it comes down to time and money. When you don't have money, you have time.
Yeah.
And that's why I say get out there and talk to people. You might learn something.
And it's really interesting, because last week, as you know, I spoke to Lynn Sturgis, the previous president, and to launch the podcast. And she spoke about getting out from behind your screens and going out and meeting people, and that's one of the real valuable tools. And it's really good to see that you've backed that up and supported that, because when people say, yes, I know Rebecca Young, or yes, I've met such and such, or all of a sudden it creates that personal connection, which helps business.
It does. And you will find the more business breakfasts or the more RWIB events you go to, the more you see the familiar faces, it becomes less daunting. And then all of a sudden you're around other colleagues, other friends. And whether it's a friend that you just see at business breakfast, you're not going over there for a barbecue or anything like that. There's power to that, because you don't feel alone. Yeah. And if you're in a small business where there is only one or two of you, all of a sudden you have that community. Yeah. And that's what gets you moving every day.
I think it's pretty cool because, as you know, I started running marathons back in 2018 and, I don't think there's a regular attendee at the breakfast series that don't know that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool when someone says, so how's the running going? And,
exactly.
I know when I catch up with Paminda from Barcella,
yes,
he's always telling me about what runs he's been doing. And, you get to know people and you get to know what excites them. So it's pretty cool.
That's right.
So out of everything that you've accomplished, what are you most proud of? So you can talk chamber or you can talk personalised freight.
That's a really hard question because I really, on a daily basis, I don't ever really sit back and feel very accomplished.
Okay.
And I know I don't know how that comes across actually, and I probably don't care that much. But what I'm saying is every day I really don't sit back. We have our little wins and we celebrate, and I am reluctant to celebrate too much.
24-hour rule.
24-hour rule, and I'm definitely using that one. Obviously, everything that, we've just built an office in the business park, so we ourselves have invested to permanently be in the Redlands.
Yeah.
The fact that we got to the 5-year mark in business, which I know is statistically quite difficult. The fact that I get my kids to school every day is an accomplishment, Tony. It's like we got through Monday. That's great. So it's
Monday was back to school.
The fact that I can employ that our business can employ 6 of us here in the Redlands. We live here. We play here. That's a huge win for me.
Absolutely.
And I want to keep building on that. That's why I probably won't rest on I feel accomplished on anything in any way.
Yeah.
Talk to me in another 5 years.
Absolutely. and I guess there's just so much more from a chamber perspective that we want to do,
Definitely.
that we believe we can do, that we can support
Definitely.
the growth of business here on the Redlands Coast.
Yeah. And look, I hope I can sit back after my 2-year term as president and you asked me that question, and I have a very, very long list of accomplishments.
Yeah.
In month, 4?
Yeah.
Not yet. The fact that
It's that overwhelm.
Yeah, exactly. But I do hope when we revisit that question in 2 years' time, there is that's what I'm shooting for.
Absolutely. And I've got no doubt that we'll have a number of things that you'll rattle off.
That we will.
Yeah.
We as a team, there's 12 of us on the committee.
Yeah.
And
they all bring a skill set, don't they?
Absolutely. It's not like anyone's sitting back, not doing anything. To have 12 engaged committee members, whilst my inbox feels overwhelmed at times, to all have an opinion on something, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not a yes. It's certainly not a yes.
It's
yes
certainly not.
No, 3 bags full scenario.
Certainly not. Which I'm so grateful for. Because I don't know enough.
Yeah.
I don't know everything, and it's nice to have everyone who knows a little bit bring that forward.
Yeah. Is there anything... So we've been going just on 50 minutes, believe it or not.
Wow.
So it doesn't feel like that, does it?
No.
But is there anything that I haven't asked that I should have, or is there anything that you want to jump up on a soapbox and talk about? Whether in an official capacity or as a personal capacity?
No, I think we've crossed everything. And you know what? I get sick of the sound of my own voice.
Or just wait till this comes out.
So I think that at the end of the day, I'm incredibly lucky to get a public platform to be able to be a voice for everybody. And I do, and as much as I'm conscious of inbox overwhelm, I do encourage people to reach out to me personally, whether that's hey, I'm a startup business and I heard the podcast and you're a startup business, can we have coffee?
Yeah.
Or whether it's I'm a construction company within the Redlands and I can't do business here anymore and this is why.
Yeah. So how do people connect with you, Beck?
Via our website.
Yeah. Which is?
Redlands, I don't know.
redlandscoastchamber.org.au.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in the Personalised Freight Solutions, it's...
Personalised Freight Solutions.com.
Okay. Any Instagram? Do you?
I do Instagram. I'm a serial story taker.
Okay.
So you'll see more on my stories. And I think it's just Rebecca Young, PFS.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook and I'm on LinkedIn.
Awesome. So if you want to connect with Beck,
yes,
please do.
Please do.
And once again, if Beck's not part of your network, you should be making Beck part of your network. You should be making the chamber in some way part of the network. And
yes.
You talked about lifespan, right? So it's really interesting when we talk about lifespan of a business. You've been going 5 years, awesome. The average lifespan for a podcast is 10 episodes, less than 10 episodes.
Really?
The average lifespan of a podcast is less than 10. So we're now in episode 2.
Wow.
Official. So... And I guess this is a bit of a segue into, if you go to redlandscoastbusiness.com.au, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, go there, put in a contact form. We've had one person so far come on to the show, go on to the contact page, and will be a guest of the Redlands Coast Business Show. So if it is something that you're keen on, it gives you the opportunity to showcase. Tell your story. We get inspired by that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't wait. Thank you for bringing this to Redlands Coast, Tony.
It's my pleasure. The key now is we got to get past 10. So we beat the averages. All right.
We'll use the chamber as a tool.
Rebecca, it's been awesome having you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From over 30 years of experience in growing and developing business, it's now time for Tony's 2 cents.
What an amazing conversation. Thank you very much, Beck. You showed some real raw vulnerability, which highlighted your strength and a real strength of leadership. And this is what I want to speak to in my 2 cents. There are some leaders out there that believe that they must put up a front, they must put on a mask and appear to the world to be perfect. They believe that this is what their team want and see and feel that any vulnerability will be exposed and taken advantage of. This is actually far removed from the truth. Strength is bred when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. It allows others to see our lessons and how we recovered and how we learned from them. And importantly, how we thrived from them. It allows others to see our authentic self, and that is when you really create great engagement amongst your team. Vulnerability isn't something that should be feared as a leader. It should be something that's there, and it should be something that is part of your arsenal because it helps strengthen you as a person, as a leader. And that's my 2 cents worth. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Redlands Coast Business Show. I hope you found it valuable. You took away some key points, some actionables that will help you in your business journey. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast or know someone who would be a great guest, simply go to redlandscoastbusiness.com.au and connect with us there. Don't forget to subscribe to be notified of our next episode when again we will chat with another great Redlands Coast business. This is Tony Curl. I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Redlands Coast Business Show. We hope you found it a valuable resource for you and your business journey. Tune in next time for more local business stories. We'll see you then.